This is one of the first times that we're seeing in recent times where, portfolios are assigned to ministers designate even before the inauguration day. 45 ministers designate have been assigned portfolios, and well, they're going to be kicking off duty after inauguration on Monday, according to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Monday morning, they would be inaugurated, and would hope that they would get to work almost immediately. Well, this morning, I'll be talking with Chief Dr. Fidel Oyeneke. Dr. Fidel Oyeneke is the former chairman of the former president of the NLC. Did I just say NLC? Of the NUJ, rather, the Nigerian Union of Journalists in Imo State. He's also a media relations consultant. He's joining us in the conversation this morning to analyze some of the portfolios assigned to the ministers and other matters arising. Good morning, Dr. Fidel Oyeneke. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being with you. Good morning, Nigerians, and good morning, other listeners.
Thank you again for joining us. Let's get to it. So, one of the ministers, one of the positions that we've seen, one that is, one of your colleagues, is one ministry that is, one portfolio that is surprising to Nigerians, that of the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake. A lot of Nigerians had thought, well, going by his history and background in journalism, he would have been the Minister of Information. But it turns out the president thought otherwise and gave that ministry to another media proprietor who also, people have said, fits the position. What do you make of that? Let's start from there. That's your primary constituency.
Very surprising indeed. But at the same time, it's a pleasant surprise because in the first place, Nigerians have already been given the impression that he is going to serve in the area of publicity, information, and so on, even by his appointment as a special advisor. And there you are, he was given the portfolio of handling communications, handling publicity, and the propagation of activities for the new government. Surprisingly, during the assignment of the portfolios, he's now been sent to Solid Mineral. Apparently an indication that even what people think may not be what those in government are thinking. But I know very well that Alake, as a trained journalist, is also in a position to serve in any capacity you put him. However, what we Nigerians are saying is that this time around, it is better to put people round holes in the round squares, round pegs and so on, round pegs in the round holes, and place people where they will be very, very useful, where they are already conversant with the terrain, and so on and so forth. But that is not to say that considering political positions and the assignments, that anybody who is qualified to be a minister cannot serve in any political position, because ministerial positions are not pure professional positions. We can have a situation where a journalist, for instance, can be put in the Ministry of Industries, where a lawyer can be made Minister of Education. The whole thing can just work out because, yes, it is a political position. Yes, they are supposed to execute certain policies and so on, formulated policies, so to say. But there are technocrats, there are permanent secretaries, directors, and other core civil servants and public servants who are their subordinates, who are there to carry out the main duties. Be that as it may, it has been the wish of Nigerians and the people that Dele should be put in the Ministry of Information. But as it is now, no problem. I still have confidence that he will perform in that position.
Very well said. Now, let's just give you a quick rundown of the ministers designate and their portfolios as we see them this morning. Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosu Tijani. Minister of State, Environment and Ecological Management, Ishak Salako. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu. Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Bumi Tijani Tunji Ojo. Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu. Minister of State, Health and Social Welfare, Tunji Alausa. Also, Dele Alake, Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Lola Adejon, Minister of Tourism, Adeboyega Oyetola, Minister of Transportation, Ministry of Industry, or Minister of Industry, Trade and Investments, Doris Anite, as well, Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Naji, Minister of State, Labor and Employment, Nkiruka Onyejocha, and Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy. David Umahi is Minister of Works, Festus Keyamo, Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development. Abubakar Momo is Minister of Youth, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, Minister of State, Gas Resources, Ekberikbe Ekbo, Minister of Petroleum Resources, Heineken Lokbobri, Minister of Sports Development, John Eno. Yeson Wike is Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. Abdullahi Gwarzo is Minister of State, Housing and Urban Development. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu. Meriga Mahmood is Minister of State. Water Resources Ministry would be headed, Water Resources and Sanitation would be headed by Bello Goroyo. Abubakar Kari is Minister of Agriculture. Minister of Education is Tahir Mamang. Ibrahim Gaidam is Minister of Police Affairs. Minister of Foreign Affairs is Yusuf Tugar. Saidu Alkali is Minister of Interior. Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Ali Pate Megari Amadu is Minister of Steel and Development. Minister of Steel and Minister of State for Steel and Development, Megari Amadu, while Minister of Steel and Development is Shaibu Audu. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. Latif Fagbemi is Attorney General and of the Federation and Minister of Justice. Labor and Employment will be headed by Simon Lalong. Iman Suleiman will be Minister of State for Police Affairs. Minister of Special Duties, Zephania Gisalo. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Ustev, as well as Minister of State, Agriculture and Food Security, Aliyu Abdullahi. Hanetsu Musawa is Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy. Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru. Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawale. Minister of State for Education, Tanko Sanunu, as well. And finally, Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dengiwa. Now, in all of these, some issues matters arising from these portfolios. First of all, let's start with the Southeast senators who have been agitating and saying, look, the Southeast needs an extra minister, even if it's just one, because every other geopolitical zone has an extra minister. The Southeast has 5 ministers, one from each state. What do you make of that argument, Chief Fidel Oyeneke?
Before I come to that, I had already made a case that anybody, no matter your profession, can serve as a minister in certain places. And at the same time, I also say that, however, it is always better to put people in their rightful areas of professionalism and so on. But because it is a policy situation and political situation, since they have subordinates that they can be placed in certain ministries, that is not to say that people should lobby and feel that they must be placed in certain ministries where they will make money. Consideration should not be acquisition of wealth. And that's exactly the bane of the Nigerian society, because most of our leaders, including what has happened yesterday, this ministerial list, it shows that people were placed in probably some ministries where they feel that they can acquire a lot of money. The bottom line should be service to the country. The bottom line is the services you will render to stabilize the system, to add value to the system. But what is being considered from the list I saw yesterday is the fact that some people are placed in certain ministries they feel that are areas where they will acquire the whole of the wealth and so on. You talk of places like Minister of Agriculture, and some people feel that it must be given to them at any particular time. You talk of Minister of Works. Thank God, David Umahi, yes, a renowned engineer and so on. I'm very happy with that particular appointment, because definitely as an engineer, he will add more value considering exactly his area of construction and so on, and things he had done in the past. But we have found ourselves in a situation where somebody who may not be an engineer was assigned to a particular ministry because of the money that he will get. If that is what was considered, even in putting Dele Aleke in solid minerals and some other people, then it's regrettable. It is unfortunate. The issue of assigning of portfolios is not a situation where the president will use to enrich some of the people he likes or those he feels are very close to him. If that is the bottom line and that's exactly what the president has done, then it is also highly regrettable. Now coming to the issue of the Southeast. You see, we had, during these elections, in spite of all controversies and so on, so many people kept persuading Nigerians that, look, whether we like it or not, this country called Nigeria is bigger than all of us. The whole issue means that once we have a president, once the cases are in court, once issues are being handled, we must also consider the interest of Nigeria and shun anything that will lead to violence, that will lead to problems and so on. And of course, in the Southeast, just like other parts of the nation, including in the Northeast and Co, where we have terrorism, banditry, and other things. Southeast has been crying of marginalizations for a very long time. We are talking of a part of a country where at a stage under the Buhari administration, nobody from the Southeast was then fit to handle any position of a service chief. People cried and cried no way. Situation, so many issues that had to do with pure neglect and negligence of people from a particular area, that is the Southeast. In terms of appointments, in terms of so many things and so on. And this led to various forms of agitation, led to so many things, including what is being suffered in the Southeast today, the issue of sit at home and so on and so forth. Now, when President Bola Tinubu was declared the president, one saw it as an opportunity that after elections, after campaigns, you start governance. And of course, once you are in governance, you become the father of all. You will no longer care whether a place South is voted for you or South did not vote for you and so on. It becomes immaterial. One had expected this president to use this opportunity to balance the situation, to assuage the people, to carry all sections of this country along, to pay attention to the Southeast that are hitherto cried of marginalization. But regrettably and unfortunately, the ministerial list that has been published does not reflect that. And it's very, very unfortunate. A situation where you have a geopolitical zone with 10 ministerial strands, while the Southeast you have only 5. You didn't even deem it fit to increase it to 6 or 7. You gave others 8, gave others 9, and even at that, in spite of the fact that you reduce theirs to only 5, we know it is constitutional that every state must get a minister. Then since you know that you've not given these people more than 5, why do you now reduce one of their own to a minister of state? Was it not Kayamo or one of the ministers who said that minister of state is even something that should not be rejoiced all about? But that's not even what I'm talking about. But the point I'm making is that I am not satisfied with the composition of the number, with the number of ministers that have come from the Southeast. I am also not satisfied that somebody from the Southeast was further reduced and given a minister of state, because there is no balance in the whole thing. The issue of federal character has not been properly reflected. And anywhere where you want to carry everybody along, it has also not been reflected in the appointment, in the assignment of portfolios of the ministers.
Well put. Now, another feature in this ministerial portfolios and assignments would be the fact that we have some new ministries and some ministries have their names modified. For instance, now we have the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. That's a new ministry. The Ministry of Aviation also has another tag. Aerospace development. We have a separation of the Ministry of Youth from the Ministry of Sports, which is one thing that many people have, requested for over time. But then, when it comes to the Ministry of Justice, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, we have seen that these portfolios have remained the same, even after many Nigerians have said, look, let's separate those offices so that, we can have some level of checks and balances there. What do you make of the new ministries and then that's, emergence of Minister of Attorney and, rather, Attorney General and Minister of Justice?
If you check the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the only ministry that is in the Constitution is that of Attorney General and the Minister of Justice. And even it must be written, the word Attorney General, the word attorney comes first, Attorney General comes first before Minister of this or Commissioner of that. It is constitutional. And for anybody to separate it and have Minister of Justice separate from the Attorney General, it means going back to the Constitution and reviewing or amending certain aspects of the Constitution. So that one, I don't have any problem with it. It is constitutional, and that's exactly what the government has done. And talking about splitting of certain ministries and merging some and so on, these are mere nomenclature. I also have nothing against it because it's just an opportunity for the federal government to give assignments to some individuals. And above all, whenever you have a new government, the government might want to do something different as it takes off, just to give the impression that we have made an amendment, we have tinkered with this, just to make it have a look of something different, something that is peculiar and unique to the new government. If not, all these things are the same. For instance, you have Minister of Information and you added orientation. Does it remove anything from already orientation agents and so on? Some of the parastatals like National Orientation Agency, they report to the Minister of Information. So if you now say Minister of Information and orientation, there is nothing wrong with that. You are removing marine and adding, is it blue what? Blue something.
Blue economy. Blue economy.
Only God knows what that one means because I may not know the full implication of that part. But I saw blue, you say it's blue what?
Blue economy.
Blue economy, yes. So, but whether it is blue economy or red economy or green economy, the important thing is that you are trying to create impression that there is something new. What matters is what the blueness of it we put on ground. How it will touch positively the lives of Nigerians and so on and so forth. So the point I'm making is that splitting the ministers is definitely to make sure that they carry everybody along. Because in any case, if you continue to do the old thing, you'll be getting the old result. So this is an opportunity to now do a new thing. Let us hope that the new thing, new creations and so on, we keep old things past and we have a positive report that will make Nigeria move forward.
All right, next feature, the Minister of Petroleum seems to be a tradition now for the president to reserve that position for himself. And also looking at that ministry, we've seen, some, splitting of the ministry, unbundling of the ministry. We have now the Ministry of Gas Resources, which has a Minister of State, and also the Ministry of Petroleum has a Minister of State in Senator Heineken Lopobri. We have that. Many people say, look, the past administration had the Minister of Petroleum in the president, and that ministry didn't do so well under him. Didn't, recorded abysmal failure under him. There was the highest level of oil theft and all of that. The NNPC did not even remit for a very long time. Even the president was Minister of Petroleum. What do you make of this culture that that's become a norm now of the minister reserving the petroleum ministry for himself?
It is not in the interest of Nigeria as a country and Nigerians as a people for the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to continue to hold the position of the Minister of Petroleum. It is an aberration, and this aberration started with the past regime. Most people made cases to ensure that it was stopped. But regrettably, this current administration has also started with it. In the first place, unlike that of Attorney General and Commissioner and Minister of Justice, you don't need any constitutional review or constitutional amendment and so on to remove it back from the president and appoint a substantive minister, full-fledged minister in charge of petroleum. Even by splitting and having gas differently, then you are having the other one of Heineken petroleum differently and so on and so on. They don't make any difference. They are the same. Nothing stops you from appointing a full-fledged minister of petroleum. You can now have ministers of state, 2 of them, even if you like 3, under him, to cover all these areas, since you feel that it is important to have that separate from LNG or whatever. I'm not a professional in that area. But the point I'm making is that people are disappointed that the current president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria still retains himself as the Minister of Petroleum. It is not in the interest of this country. It will make that sector to further dwindle. We want a situation where you have a full-fledged minister that will give adequate attention to the petroleum sector. If for nothing else, we make our refineries work. If for nothing else, we liberalize certain aspects of refining in this country, including modular refineries, artisanal refineries, and so on. President of a country like Nigeria may not have enough time to look into all these areas. That is why we never recorded successes when President Buhari was petroleum minister. And I doubt if care is not taken, it might even, the same problem will continue. It will remain. So for God's sake, I want to advise President Ahmed Bola Tinubu to relinquish this position, appoint a substantive minister of petroleum. You can then have 2, 3 other ministers of state to work under whoever you've appointed as minister of petroleum. But you have a supervisory role. President of a country can supervise all ministries. Here you can call for any situation. You can call people to order and so on once they are not performing well. But that is not to say that you must hold portfolio as a minister. It is an aberration as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Another departure from what has happened over time since the Fourth Republic is former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike's position as Minister of FCT. And you say this is the first time you have someone from the South who's becoming Minister of FCT. Over time, we've had people from the North taking that position. Many had thought that Zephaniah Jisalo would have made the the Minister of FCT, since he's an indigene of the FCT. But then he was moved to Ministry of Special Duties. What do you make of Wike's position? Do you think he's going to do well as a minister of the FCT, considering his antecedents as governor of Rivers State?
There is nothing wrong in making Wike minister of Wike or any other person from the South minister of FCT. This is not also the first time that a Southerner is becoming the minister of FCT. If you go back to the records, there was a time we had one Matt Okoye from Anambra State. He was minister of FCT, and he performed very well. So that position of Minister of FCT is not a right, it's not a preserved for a particular section of people. Rather, it has in the past been abused, where some presidents, as a result of mundane considerations, felt that it is a juicy area for some of their friends who come from a particular section of this country. But now that it's been boldly given to another person from the South, like I said, this is not the first time. I see nothing wrong with that. For those who are indigenous of FCT, for those who come from around FCT, if they wanted to make it their exclusive reserve for them, then it means that we have to go to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. At least saying that it must be reserved for this particular people. But that is not to say that there's anything wrong if you consider the culture of the people, if you consider where somebody comes from, as you are in giving that type of appointment, because it is a peculiar appointment. I have nothing against somebody from the FCT being made minister of FCT, because it will even make the person perform better, because he knows the psychology of the people, culture of the people, tradition of the people. But be that as it may, I don't think there's anything wrong in bringing somebody from the South, including Nyesom Wike, to be the minister. All these things can as well be changed, because there will always be, reshufflement and so on. Ministers can be dropped. Ministers can also be allowed to stay. But then talking about Wike, consider his experience. He was Minister of State for Education, which means he has already gotten experience in working as a minister. Now he became the governor of the state, and whether we like it or not, no matter his political excesses and so on, he performed very well as the governor of Rivers State. And remember that prior to this period, Wike had worked as a chairman of a local government area. He was chairman of Obia, or local government area of River State, which simply means that he has always had this experience in leadership, in governance. He has always been in politics. I think he has even worked as a chief of staff in government house. So the point I'm making is that he has the experience to be a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And as a lawyer, considering his antecedents in Rivers and so on, I have every conviction and believe that Wike will perform very well in spite of his political rascality, so to say, and other excesses.
Very well. Let's talk about one of the pressing issues in the country, insecurity. The Minister of Defense is Mohammed Badaru, the former governor of Jigawa State. Minister of State for Defense is Bello Matawale. Many criticize him and say, look, he was former governor of Zamfara State, and he couldn't tackle insecurity in that state. What makes the president or anyone think that he would function well, or they would be able to tackle insecurity, especially considering the fact that they do not have, military or any security experience per se? They've never been in the police. They've never been in the military. Would they be able to galvanize the armed forces? Will the armed forces be, show any level of subordination, or would they be insubordinates under them, considering the fact that the military, some people say the military has the tendency to look down on people who do not have such military experience. What do you make of that argument?
That portfolio assigned to Bello Matawale is inappropriate. It is not in order, because whether you are retired military, whether a military man is retired or not, they take instruction from their fellow military people or security operatives than somebody they see as a civilian. And I want to say that we have so many retired personnel, security personnel, be it police, be it military, be it civil defense, and so on, in this country that could have managed such position than bringing somebody who doesn't have that background of security operations and so on. So to me, it is wrong. There are other places that he could have been assigned to, Matawale could have been assigned to serve as a minister. Then for the other governor of the Minister of Defense, well, his background, yes, acceptable, but let me tell you, it is also not proper to pick the two ministers from almost, so to say, one geopolitical zone, even if they are not from the same geopolitical zone as mapped out by Nigerians or by our political system. They are all regarded as people from the north. What this country requires this time is, especially in fighting security, is to have people from different parts of this country to make an input. So I expected the full-fledged Minister of Defense, to come from one part of this country, either north or south, while the other person will also come from another geopolitical zone. That would have made the expected balance. And two of them are supposed to have a background in security operations and the military and so on and so forth.
Very well said. Great analysis there. We're going to be talking some more. Please stay with us. The conversation continues. Let's pay some bills. We'll be back shortly. Keep it here.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Nursery and primary school, we do not only encourage our kids to dream of success, we teach them to get up every morning and make it happen. At Stella Maris Nursery and Primary School, we do not only encourage our kids to dream of success, we teach them to get up every morning and make it happen. With over 25 years of stellar educational magic, dedicated and qualified staffs, conducive and serene environment spread across Abuja, you can be sure that quality education is at your doorstep. So, what are you waiting for? Make learning fun and exciting for your little ones today. The dates for entrance exams are 24th June and 12th August 2023 respectively. For more enquiries, call 0809 037 3727 or check us online at smsabuja.com. Stella Maris campuses are at Area 1, Life Camp and Wumba, Abuja.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Thank you again for staying with us. This is Eagles Outlook on your radio experience. You can count on. We're looking at the ministers designate and their assignments or portfolios and offices that they would be taking charge of come Monday when they would be inaugurated at the State House. Well, we've been talking with Chief Dr. Fidel Oyeneke, who is a media relations consultant and the former chairman of the NUJ in Imo State. He's joining us all the way from Imo State this morning. We're having this interesting conversation and quite an interesting analysis he has been able to do so far. And let's quickly touch on what aspect now. So there's insinuations that the ministerial appointments and portfolios could have been sold to the highest bidder. Some people are alleging that some people paid millions of dollars, and even naira to get these positions. What do you make of these assertions in public space where people believe that even ministerial positions are bought off? And some of us are just compensation for the work done during the elections?
Well, I'm not in a position to know whether people really paid money or not. But because we are in Nigeria, where we have been battling with corruption, I will not have any iota of doubt if I'm told, just as is being discussed now. But it's unfortunate again, because I want a situation where the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in order to do something new, will pick people without allowing them to have any type of undue influence on any of the officers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What I mean, were people who are supposed to do one or two things, both in terms of appointing the ministers, clearing them in the National Assembly, assigning portfolios to them. I mean, it should not be something that people will be allowed to pay money for. Because, of course, if you pay money and get such position, it simply means that once you are sworn in, probably on Monday, the first thing you will do is to look for ways, opportunities of recouping your money. And it means that you will not render the expected services because you feel that you bought the position. And because you bought it, however you perform, whatever you do, you feel that you have already satisfied those that you paid. So it is very, very dangerous. That is why people should be appointed based on merit and assigned portfolios based on what they can do, the services they can render. There shouldn't be any consideration, as I observed earlier, to the fact that there are some ministries that are more important than the other, where probably they will make a lot of money and so on. That is encouraging corruption. What should bother us in this country now is how to make sure we reduce the high level of corruption in the country, rather than doing anything that will encourage it. And part of the way of reducing it is by making sure that we appoint people who are seamless, who are professionals, who have the interest of this country at heart, so that as they assume their various positions, they will render selfless services in the interest of the nation.
Do you think that with the ministerial list, we have about 9 former governors? These are people who have been described as emperors in their states, who have a very big ego, who have a sense of entitlement. Do you think that they would be able to, what's the word now? Would they be able to work, according to the dictates of the president, or would they just exhibit their larger-than-life attitude when they take office? And just for instance, the former Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, during the screening had a hard time. He was made to even apologize on the floor of the Senate for not, appearing before the Senate when he was summoned in the last administration. These are the people who have returned as ministers. Do you think they will be able to, work for Nigerians rather than, just leave the larger-than-life attitude that they've had?
I very much believe, and I'm saying this with all sense of responsibility, and what I'm trying to say is that it is very, very wrong to recycle old people, to recycle people who had served in various capacities, and probably some of them did not even perform well. I have nothing against the consideration of experience when it comes to leadership. But then the truth must be told, and that is the fact that most of these people are appointed just because of the role they played through campaigns or during the primaries of the presidential primaries and so on and so forth, or the role they played in building their various political parties. And what it now means is that now that they have been used for the takeoff of this government, I want to suggest to Mr. President not to allow them to stay longer than necessary. Inject new blood. By the time you dissolve your cabinet in the next few months or something like that, for God's sake, put new people. There are many Nigerians from different parts of this country who are making it very, very well in different parts of the world. Try them, let them come back, let them, those who are here in Nigeria with us, working both in the private sector, in oil sector, and some other sectors, even civil servants, recycle, bring them into governance. Let us test them and see what they can do. That would be better than recycling those who were either legislators. From there they became governors. From governors they are this, they are that. After which you are also making them a minister. At the stage they will get to their elastic that they may no longer have something to offer. So I believe, and I'm expecting, I'm full of expectations that before long there will be a cabinet reshuffle and more people, new people will be brought in to enhance the performance of this government.
Very well. Quickly, let's look at some technocrats. The likes of Ali Pate, Wale Edu. These are people who have been said to be technocrats who have worked at high levels, at the international space. Someone like Ali Pate was Minister of State for Health under the Yar'Adua administration, and he left because he didn't have the kind of conditions, the free hand to do what he wanted to do. Do you think that these people would be given and allowed to function the way that they would under the President Tinubu administration, so that they're able to serve Nigerians the way that they would want to?
If you are appointing somebody a minister and you are assigning portfolio to the person, if you are not ready to allow the person perform in accordance to international standards and so on, if you don't allow that person to bring in his or her wealth of experience and for the betterment of Nigeria, then you are not supposed to appoint the person. Whoever you appoint is expected that you must have checked the antecedents of the person, the pedigree of the person, and you will give the person free hand to perform. And I want to tell you that it still has to do with recycling. That Ali Pate and some other people served as this and that in the past and so on does not mean that we don't have other technocrats in this country. There is no part of Nigeria you cannot get technocrats who are qualified to be ministers and so on. Yes, they have had international exposure. They have did one or two things for this country and for the international community. We now expect them to translate it into whatever they want to offer to Nigeria. But at the same time, I still insist that they should not be allowed to stay longer than necessary. There is need to reshuffle the cabinet after some time and give more people the opportunity to perform their own.
All right, let's hear from our listeners now. Everyone who's joined in, if you have thoughts and questions or comments to make, join the conversation now. 09073530044 and 09087668888. SMS and WhatsApp messages go to 09097054450. I'm hoping that you're watching us live on YouTube and on Facebook. Let's bring in this caller quickly. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, that's a great you.
Good morning, Sunday the Prince. Welcome.
Thank you. Just as speak extensively well. You see, when people said our president, President Tinubu, entirely connected across the country, I tell them say no. At the end of the day, it will be all about compensation as usual. And look at what that plays out today. It's all about compensating those that work for him and those that supported him. Like what Madawale and the other man from Kebbi State. They are from the same political region. They are from the same northwest. So how can you now place two people under security from the same geopolitical zone? And for me, it doesn't make sense. And these guys are not qualified. Remember the time of the former governor for Osho State, under interior. You say he doesn't know anything about interior. Adamu said he doesn't know anything about education. I mean, all these guys are called for compensations because they play one role or the other. So in this aspect, I'm not even expecting much from them because many of them invest a lot of money to make sure that Tinubu win, and some of them buy the positions. So for me, I'm not expecting much from them. All I'm saying that we are here. Whatever we see, fine. You know why? It's like all about compensation. During the time of Buhari, many of them was raising alarm that those that work for Buhari were not compensated. Were not given positions. Buhari went and bring people that they know, even the wife confirmed it. That people that they did not know, and they were occupying the position of ministerial and other judicial appointments. So that is a mistake Tinubu don't want to make. So that is why you bring this mess together. Either you qualify or you don't qualify. As long as you contribute one way or the other to make sure they win, you'll be compensated. So Nigeria has become a kind of compensation. So anybody that is expecting miracle from this man, I still far from it. Because you cannot give what you don't have. So in terms of Omai, well, it's a good appointment. I want Omai to realize that, look, if he does well, the record will remain with him. South East is his region. Nigeria is his country. And he should bear in mind from Lokoja or Obajana Junction down to Ido, up to Delta, up to Onitsha, up to Were. The whole federal road there are dead and condemned. So he should look inward and see what he can do on that areas of at least making sure that the federal roads like Onitsha is a complete nightmare. Erosion has cut off upper stroke Akuku. Erosion has eaten Idemili up to Kazan in Onitsha.
All right, Sunday the
Then the erosion, then the Upper Wake has come has right off completely. So all this is a federal road. So he should look inward and see what he can do.
Thank you.
As quick as possible to make sure that those roads are motorable.
Thank you.
Have a nice celebration.
Have an amazing day yourself. Seems like everyone is beginning to, make arguments for their own zone and their own states. Let's get more calls and more messages before we get back with my guest to sum it up. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Vicky, good morning.
My name is Prince Ihanacho. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Oh, please, good morning. Paul from Nasarawa. Good morning, sir.
Paul, good to have you.
Thank you. I want to comment on the issue being Mr. President, the petroleum minister. My brother, where are we going? Because what I know for sure is that for him to be the father of the nation, what capacity does he have to be the petroleum minister as well? See, let us think in word of this country. Let us every time all about our pocket. Think what we do for this country, to save this country, where this country is dancing to. Look at the word of a wise man, this man that commenting from Owerri this morning. He made everything clear to all of us. For him to be a president, sitting president, taking care of the affairs of the president, and not going to take care of the petroleum minister, is it possible for him to take that two oaths at the same time? When two iron is the fire, can you remove it? Yeah? It's unfair now. It's unfair. So that that position is supposed to reserve to somebody that is going to manage it very well.
Okay.
Okay, look at where we are coming from the southeast. Yeah? After other people have been getting fired, how many ministers? We get fired. When we talk now, we say Igbo people don't fight. They're supposed to look up into all these things, especially when he is as an elderly person of 70 or 80 years man. What capacity does he have to take those two oaths? Let him put two iron on the fire, whether he will remove it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling. Let's get back to the messages now. Okay. Brightmans, I see your question. We're just going to respond to that shortly. Minister of Youth is different from the Minister of Sports now. That's the ministry has been unbundled. We have Abubakar Momo as Minister of Youth, while John is Minister of Sports. Let's get back with my guest shortly after this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Ihanacho.
Good morning to you. What's your name, please?
My name is Francis. I'm calling from Abuja.
Francis, welcome. Good to have you.
This ministerial post is for me, they are just recycling old people that are in this game. And you know, when you recycle old people, because if you ask them now, they will say they have experience, but the experience they have is not enough. Because if their experience is enough, they should have done something while they are governors, or done something while they are ministers. All this while they did not do anything. Is it now they are going to do something? So why can't we look for another people who are fresh, who have another idea, who have another concept, who have not been there before? Because these people have experience of corruption. Sometimes, sorry for saying that, but the experience they have is not for good. It's for they know how. They have already been in the game, so they know how to maneuver things. We want fresh people who don't know about this. What they know is that they will be fighting to make their name better. Because these people are now they are there. So we want fresh people with fresh idea, with fresh. That's the. See, if your way is not pure, the people around you will not be pure. So we want to get this right in Nigeria.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let's get back with my guest, Chief Oyeneke. How would you respond to the comments by the callers so far?
Well, first of all, they have stated the obvious. The observations are very, very much in order. You see, I have nothing against engaging people with experience to serve as ministers or even in other positions. But the truth is that those with experience are not limited to a particular set of individuals. There are many experienced people scattered all over this country who have not been tested before. Who have not been tested as ministers, but they've acquired experience in leadership in other positions. So these are the people we are making cases for. And then if you have a minister of youth and sports, or whatever is the name now, somebody is talking of unbundling it. But whoever will be in charge of youth must be a youth. Don't bring an old person to handle the affairs of youth. That's another thing. I'm not very sure of the age bracket of the ministers in charge of youth affairs. But the truth is that younger people should be given the opportunity to handle that ministry because they know much about youth activities and how to mainstream youth in the activities of governors. All said and done, the callers have stated it all. They have buttressed all the points that we are making. And I just pray that the president and others at that leadership position will take cognizance of all these facts and make appropriate amendments.
All right. Just so we put this out, the former Minister of Youth, or rather the Minister of Youth would be Abubakar Momo. He was a two-time member of the House of Representatives from Esako Federal Constituency, Edo State. He was a member of APC before he joined PDP in 2019 to contest for the Edo North Senatorial District, but lost and then got back to the APC. Let's bring in this final caller before we talk about the Imo State elections coming up soon in November. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, President Acho, and good morning to our guests on radio.
Good morning, Clement.
From the standpoint of Clement, calling back. From the standpoint of this present government, I don't see anything wrong in duplicating the ministers. Some ministers came, at least in some states, we have not less than 2 ministers. And if you check the number of states we have in Nigeria, including FCT, we should be talking of about 74 if two come from each state. And some have 3. So I'm making case that maybe Tinubu should appoint 3 from each state so that we'll have not less than 90-something ministers, because that at least for the sake of equity. And anybody who is expecting technocracy to underline the motive of appointing anybody in this dispensation, I think that person will have to think twice. All we should be thinking of now is how to empower those who have spent this government and bring them on board. And at least there's much money in government. All these people will come with their aids, and so much extra costs will be paid to these people so that they can recoup themselves and prepare for next elections. That's all. We have enough sources of funds. We can borrow more. And the people can be taxed until they die. And let us prepare for next election. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Clement Zion Prince. Let's wrap it up now. Chief Oyeneke, let's talk about the Imo State elections. What is the atmosphere like in Imo State as you prepare for the Imo State governorship off-season election? What does it feel like now in Owerri, Imo State?
Well, a very conducive atmosphere. People are moving about, doing their businesses in spite of the issue of sit at home and others that had led to the suffering of some businesses and so on. But businesses are still picking up. People are going about, and the politicians are also moving about, carrying out their campaigns under a very conducive atmosphere. Yes, by November 11, there will be governorship election in Imo State. All that people want is a situation where you have a rancor-free elections. And luckily, Imo State has a sitting governor, distinguished Senator Hope Uzodinma, who at least in some areas, including the area of infrastructure and so on, road development and other things, is doing very, very well. But that is not to say that anybody who comes with a superior argument will not be given opportunity to even campaign in Imo State. All said and done, Imo people, what they want is peace, unity, and progress. And from all indications, in fact, from the atmosphere already enhanced by the current government of Senator Hope Uzodinma, there are indications that we are going to have a very free and fair election in Imo State, devoid of rancor, killings, and violence.
Very well said. Let's close with this message from Abdullahi Mekano, who says, good morning. It's Abdullahi Mekano. There would be no change in Nigeria. Our current leaders don't have the country at heart. May God save our country from total collapse. And that would be a good place to leave the conversation with a good prayer like that. Amen. Chief Dr. Fidel Oyeneke, Media Relations Consultant and former chairman of the NUJ Imo State Chapter. Thank you so much for talking with us this morning. We really appreciate you for joining in.
It's a pleasure. Let us all jointly make this country a better place for all of us to live in.
Great one. Thank you again for joining the conversation. To everyone who's been a part of it, we really appreciate you for joining in the conversation. Let's do this again tomorrow at the top of the hour 9. My name is Ihianacho Prince. His Radio Highness of Abuja. Martha takes over at the top of the hour. But before then, business news comes on.